Imagine a former interception king, a defensive powerhouse who completely dominated the league just a few seasons ago, suddenly making a stunning move to Miami. A major national headline just dropped an absolute bombshell, linking this multi-time Pro Bowler straight to South Beach and sending shockwaves through the entire fan base. Could this low-risk, high-reward signing be a stroke of pure genius for the secondary, or are we looking at a total disaster waiting to happen? Before we dive deep into the rumors and break down the reality of this story, do me a quick favor. Smash that like button, share this video with your fellow football fans, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another breaking update. The football world is buzzing over a new report that has everyone debating what the front office is planning next. A major feature piece just highlighted 7 bargain free agents still searching for a home on the open market. Right there in the headlines, Miami was named as a prime destination for cornerback Trayvon Diggs. The report explicitly listed 2 potential landing spots for the former star, Miami and the Detroit Lions. It raises a fascinating question. How does an elite, first-team all-pro defensive weapon turn into a major liability on the outside almost overnight? It is a frustrating puzzle to unpack because, on one hand, you look at our current defensive backfield and the reality is clear. On paper, the cornerback room looks below average and dangerously close to borderline bad. There is a noticeable lack of elite depth, creating a lingering vulnerability that makes you wonder if a high-profile addition is exactly what this team needs. But the moment you look closer at the player himself, all that initial excitement quickly turns into deep skepticism. Last season, Trayvon Diggs was not just disappointing. He was completely, undeniably atrocious on the field. He looked nowhere near the player who once struck fear into the hearts of opposing quarterbacks. More importantly, he simply does not fit the current strategic mold, the team culture, or the specific timeline this organization is building toward. So why are analysts connecting these dots and naming our team as a top suitor? The logic traces right back to his journey over the last year. After a long, celebrated run in Texas following his selection in the 2020 draft, the Dallas Cowboys made the shocking decision to release him late last year. That is when Green Bay swooped in, signing him in December to see if they could spark a late-season revival. The connection is easy to make because members of our current defensive staff and front office were right there in that Green Bay room when the decision was made to take a chance on him. Pundits are looking at those personal ties and assuming that because certain coaches signed off on him once, they would gladly bring him in again. I understand the line of thinking, and it makes it very easy to pencil our team's name next to his. I just completely disagree with the idea. Let us look at the raw profile. The man is 27 years old and will turn 28 by the time the grueling regular season begins. Physically, he still has the prototype build you want in a modern defensive back, standing 6'1" and weighing a solid 202 pounds. Nobody can take away his historic 2021 campaign, where he electrified the league by leading the entire NFL in interceptions. He became a household name, carrying massive star power simply because he held down the incredibly high-pressure role of cornerback number 1 for America's team. But past accolades do not win games today. At this point in his career, after everything his body has been through, there is very little evidence to suggest he can be a reliable contributor for a team trying to establish a winning culture. This brings us straight to the most controversial talking point of the week, and I want to hear from every single one of you in the comments section. This is our question of the day. If the front office can sign him to a dirt-cheap, league minimum contract, would you take the gamble, or is he a hard pass for you? Type Y for yes or N for no right now down below, and let me know your exact thoughts. Even if the price tag is as low as humanly possible, I am still standing firmly in the camp of absolute refusal. My answer is a resounding no, and the statistics back this up completely. Between the 2023 and 2025 seasons, he managed to step onto the field for a grand total of only 22 games. That is a staggering lack of availability. His career was completely sidetracked by a devastating ACL tear, which unfortunately triggered secondary complications that slowed down his recovery. By the time he landed with the green and gold late last winter, he was a shadow of his former self, appearing in just a single regular season game and playing only one defensive snap during the entire postseason. The media is trying to sell a narrative that he was once a premier ball hawk who might magically rediscover his elite form if he can just stay healthy. Yet, he finished this past stretch without a single interception to his name. The absolute best-case scenario being floated by optimistic analysts is that if he survives the battles of training camp, he could potentially carve out a limited, highly specialized role in sub-packages, playing strictly on third and long situations. I get the theory. If you only put him out there on 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12, protecting him so he never has to play every single snap, maybe he finds a niche. But when you look at what he put on tape last year, he ranked as one of the bottom 10 cornerbacks in the entire league. He gave up 286 yards on an embarrassing 76% completion rate. When quarterbacks targeted his coverage, they achieved a nearly perfect passer rating of 157, 2 out of a maximum 158. 3. He was completely exposed on the boundary. Opposing offenses were literally hunting for him on the field, smiling the moment they realized where he was lined up, and immediately throwing his way for big gains. Is that really the type of regression this organization wants to invite into the building? Does it make any sense for a team in our current developmental phase to take critical development snaps away from the high-upside young talent we are trying to build around? We have young, hungry players like Chris Johnson, Jason Marshall Jr., and Juju Brents who need every single repetition they can get. Bringing in a veteran name just for the sake of experience would completely stifle their growth. When you evaluate the current depth chart, it is clear that the room is incredibly crowded, even if it lacks established star power. Where does a struggling veteran even fit in? He is certainly not jumping ahead of Chris Johnson or Juju Brents, and I doubt he deserves to play over a developing second-year corner like Jason Marshall Jr. I would much rather give those valuable snaps to a young player to see what his long-term potential looks like, rather than wasting time on a veteran who put up historically bad metrics last season. The front office already added multiple players through free agency, bringing in Alex Austin and Darrell Baker Jr., while also retaining Ethan Bonner. It is a logjam of players fighting for a roster spot. If the front office is truly determined to add a veteran presence to the secondary before training camp begins, there are far superior options still floating around in free agency. Why look at a liability when someone like Rasul Douglas is out there? He was exceptional last season, posting elite coverage grades, forcing incomplete passes, and limiting opposing quarterbacks to a meager 72.6 passer rating when targeted. If you want someone who can actually shut down a side of the field, you call him, or you explore options like Marshawn Lattimore, Kenny Moore, or even Tre'Davious White. Ultimately, cornerbacks shouldn't even be the main priority right now. If we are going to invest our remaining salary cap space into a late summer signing, the money needs to go toward our glaring holes at wide receiver, edge rusher, or safety. Bringing in an edge defender like Yetur Gross-Matos or securing a veteran safety makes infinitely more sense than crowding the cornerback room with a high-risk gamble. Rest assured, if the front office makes any major moves as training camp approaches, we will have it broken down for you right here. Thank you for rocking with us, and we will see you in the next one.